Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast, quick picks video for UFC Fight Night. Burns taking on Morales over at the Apex. And if you aren't interested in the long drawn out breakdowns and details, this show is for you. I give you all of my picks for this card with a confidence level traffic light system at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of the pick. And if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, hit that like and subscribe button as we break down this entire card in 15 minutes or less. Kicking us off in the prelims, we have Tisha Pennington taking on Luana Peñejo, and I'm going with Tisha Pennington in this matchup here. She tends to only lose to some of the better fighters in the division. She was able just to come off of a win against Carla Esparza, who's obviously a very credentialed woman in this division, former champion. Tisha has great kickboxing, good forward pressure, good cardio. She does lack a little bit of power in the hands and the feet. However, Luana does come out very aggressive. She is very powerful early in fights, but she isn't very technical. I don't think Luana's going to be able to get takedowns here against Pennington, whose takedown defense has stood out as one of the better, especially in this division. So give me Tisha Pennington here in a medium confidence level pick to keep this fight standing and win overall with her volume on the feet. And next up, we have Hyung Sung Park taking on Carlos Hernandez. And I'm going to go with Park in this one. I do think that Hernandez has had a pretty tough run inside the UFC, facing a lot of high-level grapplers. However, Park here, he can grapple, he can strike. I do like Park's boxing in this matchup. I think he's a nice counter striker. I do think that Park also will have the physical sort of edge here in the strength department. He's a little bit more muscular. Overall, I think that size and that strength is going to matter here. I think Hernandez's best path to victory would be get the takedowns. I've seen in previous fights with Park that he is very good on the ground. He can transition from position to position. However, I think that Park keeps this one on the feet and lands the bigger, more impactful shots. And we've seen in a lot of Hernandez's fights, he can't really get the respect of his opponents with his striking. He lacks a little bit of pop in his shots, and Park has the more dangerous hands here. So give me Park in a medium level confidence pick here. And next up, the confident pick in Denise Gomes taking on Elise Reed. I like Denise Gomes in this style matchup. We've seen with Reed in the past that all four of her losses have all been her getting finished, 2 by submission, 2 by knockout. Denise Gomes, very powerful hands, very nice boxing. We've seen with Gomes as well that she has been taken down in the past. However, Reed doesn't really possess the wrestling for that to be a factor here for Gomes. She's been working very heavily on her takedown defense, and I think this one mostly plays out on the feet. If Gomes wants to mix in the wrestling, she's definitely going to be the bigger, more physically stronger fighter out of the two. If she wants to hold Reed up against the cage or go for takedowns, I think she can. But ultimately, I think her striking and her power is going to be the difference factor here to side with the judges. So give me Denise Gomes here in a confident pick to get it done. And next up, we have Luana Santos taking on Tunara Lisboa. And I'm going to go with Lisboa here. I think she's the better overall fighter. She's definitely the better striker out of the two. Santos is moving from flyweight up to bantamweight here. So I think she's going to be definitely the smaller fighter out of the two. Lisboa coming off of a 16-month layoff due to a knee injury. But even at 34, it's hard to be super confident in her. But I like Lisboa here. She's labeled as the underdog on the betting line. I think overall she's the better MMA fighter, better striker, definitely. 2-time Muay Thai world champion. As long as she comes in here and her knee's fully healed and she can keep this fight standing, which I definitely think she will be, she'll definitely have her way on the feet here. So give me Lisboa in a medium confident level pick. And next up, we have Conor Matthews taking on Yadir Dval. And I'm going to go with the UFC debut here in Dval. And can't be very confident. It's always difficult to get a grip on the UFC debutantes. And I do think that Dval here is just a little bit more dangerous on the feet. He has pulled guillotine before in his fights, which I don't really like a lot of guys doing unless their name is Dustin Poirier. We've seen with Conor Matthews, he looks a little bit chinny, being knocked out in his previous 2 fights. Both guys possessing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, so obviously very credentialed on the ground. But I think here, in terms of danger on the feet, I like Yadir Dval here to get it done either on the feet or on the ground. It's hard to trust Matthews' chin, and he's had some very, very questionable performances inside the UFC. Not very confident though, however, because it is Yadir's UFC debut. So medium level confidence here for Yadir Dval to get it done this weekend. And next up, we have Jared Gordon taking on Thiago Moises. And give me Moises here. I think he's the more dangerous of the two. He is 30 years old, heading into his prime. Did used to train at American Top Team. He's now moved over to the Fighting Nerds. So two very high-level gyms that he's trained with. Moyes is very credentialed on the ground. We have seen Jared Gordon have good takedown defense, however, but he has been submitted in the past. And I also think on the feet, I think that Moyes has the quicker hands. I think he can abuse the calf kick here against Jared Gordon, who stands a little bit flat-footed on his lead leg. And I also think as well Moyes might be able to mix in some takedowns. I do think this fight will mostly play out on the feet, but Moyes has more of the weapons here on the feet and on the ground, the upside and the finishing potential. And I think Moyes will probably win a decision here. I do think Jared Gordon makes it to the final bell, as he is very, very tough and gritty. And he does pack a pop sometimes in his hands. He has known to get finishes on the feet, but I think Moyes is the more dangerous fighter all around. So give me Thiago Moyes here in a medium level confidence pick. And next up, we have Gabe Green taking on Mateus Camalo. And Mateus Camalo is making his UFC debut here. Did fight over on the Korean Zombies promotion to get his ticket into the UFC. Now, this fight is booked for 155, whereas Gabe Green, as we're familiar with seeing him at 170, this is him moving down to 155. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs here. But I'm actually going to go with Gabe Green here. It's hard to be confident. He is coming off of a long layoff due to injuries. I checked on social media. He does look like he has, cut the weight the right way. But we noticed with Camalo that Camilo's two losses he's had on the regional scene have both been him getting submitted. Gabe Green, a very, very pressure-forward fighter who likes to mix in takedowns, his power in his hands, and he's going to be the bigger guy here. I wouldn't be surprised if Gabe Green comes out after a long layoff, mixes in the takedowns, uses his grappling here to find the submission, but hard to be confident after the layoff. But I like the size advantage. I like the UFC experience. I like the fact that Gabe Green's path to victory here of the submission and the grappling is Camilo's weakness. So give me Gabe Green here in a very non-confident pick. And next up, we have Julian Alvarez taking on Costa here. And I'm going to say Costa gets this one done. I feel fairly confident here. I think Julian Aros's win streak is a little bit tarnished with a lack of credentials as far as the people he's been beating. I like Costa in this style matchup. I think that he's had the better wins so far in his 3-fight win streak. Costa's got an ability to mix in the grappling. We saw in his last fight against Rodriguez, who had been proven to be tough to be taken down. Costa did a fantastic job of getting the fight to the ground. He has a Muay Thai style. He's dangerous on the feet, dangerous on the floor. And Julian Arosa in the past has shown to be a little bit chinny. And I definitely think that Costa has the power advantage. We've seen Arosa be chinned before in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised here if Costa gets it done on the feet or if he mixes in takedowns to kind of wear Arosa down. And obviously Costa being the younger fighter, Arosa kind of wearing a lot of damage at this point, being older in his career. I like Costa here in a confident pick. And next up, we have Dustin Stoltzfus taking on Nursultan Rosaboy. That's a mouthful, and he's going to be a confident pick for me here. I think Rosaboy gets it done here wherever this fight takes place. 6'5", obviously not necessarily the biggest reach advantage here against Dustin Stoltzfus, but I think if Dustin decides that he wants to mix in the wrestling, I think that's going to set up the submissions here for Rosaboy. We've seen he's very dangerous off of his back. He's got 20 submission victories, and Rosaboy is also very dangerous on the feet. He's got a very nice counter right hand, which he was able to demonstrate against Bruno Ferreira in that fight. I think Rosaboy, wherever this fight goes, he's going to be live for the finish. We've seen Dustin Stoltzfus chinned in the past. I do think that he might have to weather a little bit of a storm with Dustin Stoltzfus early because he is very dangerous early. But give me Rosaboy here in a confident pick to either find the submission or the knockout, depending on whichever way the fight takes place. And next up, we have Sadiq Yousef taking on Marino Santos. And I've not really been that high on Santos. He was lucky to win his last fight here against, was it Mitch Raposo, I believe it was. There's no way that he won that fight in his last fight. The judges kind of, gave him that victory. He's a counter striker, Muay Thai style. And I think that spells recipe for disaster here against Yousef. This is a big step up in competition. Yousef is coming off of a 1-year layoff due to injury, but Yousef is the much more high-level grappler, in my opinion. I think that if he wants to mix in the grappling, he'll be able to. I think out of the two, he's got the higher-level UFC experience, and Santos hasn't proven anything other than he's got an ability to stop the takedowns, and he looks a little bit almost gun-shy in there at times. So I think Yousef's power is going to be a big factor here. I think that he's even shown against guys like Edson Barbosa that he's got power in the hands and he can fight against higher level strikers with forward pressure. So I like Yousef here. I think he can mix in the wrestling. I think he's going to have the pressure and the more powerful hands to get it done. Medium level confidence pick here. And next up in the co-main event, we have Paul Craig taking on Rodolfo Bolato. And I'm going with Paul Craig here. I think that the odds in this one are kind of wild. We've seen with Bolato that he comes out very, very aggressive. And I think that's going to be a recipe for disaster here against Paul Craig. I think that Paul Craig's going to be able to time his takedowns and get Bolato to the floor the same way that Jimmy Crute was able to. He initiated the grappling. I wouldn't be surprised if Bolato initiated the grappling in this matchup. And once the fight gets to the floor, we've seen what Paul Craig is able to do. He's fantastic with the triangles. He's fantastic with the arm bars. And I think that once this one hits the floor, it's all she wrote. So I think Paul Craig gets it done here. I think that he's got to stay patient on the feet, but ultimately gets the fight to the floor in the first round and either gets a submission or a ground and pound victory here against Bolato. Medium level confidence pick. And the main event of the evening, we have Michael Morales taking on Gilbert Burns. And I'm going with Michael Morales here, but I will say it is kind of disrespectful, the betting odds here against Gilbert Burns. He's something like a 5 or 6 to 1 underdog here. But Morales with the 8 or 9 inch reach advantage. Obviously still very young, not necessarily taken a whole lot of damage throughout his career so far. He has looked good, 17-0, undefeated confidence coming into this one. And Gilbert Burns, has faced 3 tough fights in his last fights. He fought against Bilal Muhammad, lost that one, obviously the former champ. We've got Jack Della Maddalena, which he was winning up 2 rounds until he got knocked out in the third against Jack Della Maddalena. And then he lost to Sean Brady, who is probably the number 1 contender, arguably, for the belt in this division. But I do think that Gilbert Burns has looked better in the past. He does kind of slow down now. He is starting to look a little bit older here at 38 years old. So give me Morales here to pump that jab, kind of pick his spots, and ultimately use his athleticism here, especially on the feet, to ultimately win this fight, probably by a decision for Morales. And that's the whole entire card broken down for you, ladies and gentlemen. Quick pick, short, in and out, as you guys know. And just to let you guys know, before you click off, we have the best bets video coming out tomorrow. That is the best bets for this entire card. Check that out if you're interested. And also my dog of the week, which is my favorite betting underdog for this card. That video was released yesterday. I'll leave a link for that in the description. And there's a highlight reel film if you guys want to check that out as well. Pretty interesting. I'll leave a link for that in the description. And if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. 15 minutes or less, full card breakdown. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.